I've realized that Thanksgiving actually makes me kind of sad. Recently, I learned that 46 million turkeys die every year just for Thanksgiving. And the saddest part is the fact that much of that turkey ends up in the trash can and it ends up wasted. Most turkeys are slaughtered when they're babies. They're only about 4 to 5 months old when they're taken to the slaughterhouse. And the worst part is that most of these turkeys in factory farms live absolutely horrible, nightmarish lives in the most horrible conditions. On factory farms, they grow up and they spend their entire lives in cramped, dark, filthy, absolutely nightmarish concentration camp-like conditions. It's just absolutely horrible what they go through. When they're babies, they're actually mutilated. They have their beaks and toes cut off with hot irons to prevent them from pecking each other. And if they don't bleed to death during the slaughtering, they are literally boiled alive to remove their feathers. It's just absolutely, it's nightmarish and it's absolutely unimaginable. It's just horrible. And here's the thing, eating meat isn't just bad for animals, it's bad for people too. Eating meat increases your cholesterol levels, and it's been a known fact even before the 2015 WHO report that exposed bacon as carcinogenic. It was a known fact that meat consumption increases your risk of heart disease and cancer. Also, what most people don't realize is that the majority of meat comes from factory farms, and factory farms pump their animals full of hormones and antibiotics. Get this, 80% of all antibiotics in America are given to factory farm animals. Because there are literally tens of thousands of animals all cramped together in one farm, so the farmers have to make sure that they don't get sick and spread an infection around the entire farm. Mass-produced meat has increased the use of antibiotics, which has given rise to superbugs, which are antibiotic-resistant bacteria and other forms of disease. Superbugs are actually turning out to be a serious problem, not just in America, but around the world. According to the CDC, every year in America, 2 million people are infected with superbugs, and 23,000 people every year actually die from superbugs. Many of these superbugs are resistant to many different types of antibiotics, which makes them very, very deadly. Here's the thing, the World Health Organization has warned of the world returning to a pre-antibiotic era because of inability to fight diseases with antibiotics. If the world continues to consume more meat, superbugs are only going to become more and more prevalent, and eventually they are going to resist virtually all types of antibiotics. And that could lead to a serious pandemic, and millions of people could die, ironically, from the millions of animals that they've killed to eat. According to a 2011 Huffington Post article, turkey is one of the most contaminated meats, and chicken is actually the dirtiest. You have the greatest risk of getting a disease. Contrary to popular belief, turkeys are very social, intelligent animals, similar to dogs and cats. It's an old wives' tale that they're stupid. Many animal volunteers have described them as natural detectives, since they're so curious and social. In the Atlantic, naturalist Joe Hutto observed a flock of wild turkeys for many months, and he even befriended one. Every time he would visit the flock, that one turkey would come up to him and greet him similar to a dog. And another author, Eric Marcus, he's also an animal volunteer, he had a similar experience. When volunteering on a sanctuary farm, a few of the turkeys from the flock actually befriended him and would greet him every time he went to visit them. And turkeys can actually remember human faces. This Thanksgiving, I'd like to encourage you guys, even meat eaters, to adopt or sponsor a turkey through Farm Sanctuary. Farm Sanctuary is a very well-established, amazing foundation that works with different rescue farms to care for rescued farm animals that would otherwise be destined for the slaughterhouse. These rescue farms are vegan farms because they don't produce any meat. They just care for animals that would otherwise be slaughtered. There are many different turkeys from the flock to choose from. Each has their own unique personality and food preferences. It's $30 a turkey. I think you guys would really enjoy the process. When you sponsor one, you get a little card in the mail with a picture of the turkey and all of their facts and information, and it's just a really cool process. Just a side note, I know how hard it is to quit meat. It was a long process for me, myself, to first go semi-vegetarian, then vegetarian, then vegan. I was inspired and motivated to continue on the path and to eventually cut out eggs from my fellow vegans on social media, mainly Instagram, mainly from Plant-Based Logic, the vegan community, and Vegan Outreach. Those are some really great communities that will definitely keep you inspired. Also, a funny coincidence is that Jon Stewart from The Daily Show, he recently retired to work more on his farm, is actually working with Farm Sanctuary to turn his New Jersey farm into a farm sanctuary for New Jersey. I really admire him for that. He is so amazing, and I really look up to him for that. I love that such an influential, famous figure is setting a good example. Also, an interesting fact is that founding father Benjamin Franklin really loved and admired the turkey so much that he wanted it to be America's national bird instead of the bald eagle. He really admired how beautiful and how resourceful and clever they were. Obviously, these were wild turkeys, which were much more lean and agile, as opposed to the factory farm-bred turkeys, which have been selectively bred to be as fat and plump and unhealthy as possible. And it's sad because many of these turkeys are actually suffering from the lack of movement from their obesity, and some of them even have leg problems because of how overweight they are from being bred to be so plump.